Welcome to The Experience Today, where we explore the fascinating intersections of psychology, the human experience, and American politics.
Good evening, and welcome to this Tuesday night episode of The Experience Today, where we are talking about the experience of our todays. Maybe not yours, but a little bit of insight into ours. And, for some reason, it may just correlate. Because I think over time we do experience the same things, but in different ways or different characters in the same experiences. But we still have those same experiences, where it come near, far, or right in immediate space. But we're here to talk about our experience today. I'm your host, Mr. Roderick Threes, and always the host with the most, the hostess with the most, because I bring nothing, because, that's just me. But anyway, my lovely co-host, Miss Valerie Zen. What's going on, girl? How you doing? What's going on down there in South Florida for you?
Oh, we're just sitting here waiting for it to get cold, I tell all my northern friends, don't throw your warm clothes out when you come here. Because in the winter, you never know what you're going to get blasted with. We have quite a cold spell coming in, so it's fine.
Right.
Doesn't matter, put a little heat up, give the electric company a little bit of money. They all need money. Money does not make the world go round anymore. Well, it does and it doesn't. I've been really on a rage. I'm certain almost everybody is. Everything that's come out just in the past, can I say a week, but maybe it's 2 weeks, about all the thievery that's been going on in all the states. Today, Hochul was even caught in New York, bigger than the idiot in Minnesota, and Newsom in California. It's like, also, everybody is feeling like we need to have a national tax revolt in this country. This is not working. So if you think about Taxman, written by, I think Paul McCartney wrote it.
It was Paul McCartney.
About, about the taxes in the British countries, which obviously our founders came here because of it. And look at England, just aside right now. They've gotten all their freedom taken away, which, is just not a surprise, considering the millions and millions and millions of illegal aliens that just pounced into their country and took over. Well, it kind of happened to us in a similar fashion by COVID and the presidents that we've had in the past few. Obama, Biden, really, open up your borders and let everyone run in and make the people pay for it. We didn't know exactly that we were paying for it or how it worked. We've known we're being ripped off for a long time. In the back burner, we all knew it. Every year, we've been all brought up, you have to pay your taxes. Your taxes automatically come out of your paycheck. You race against time to get the IRS machine fed, the beast, the real beast. I remember when I was a kid, my father had to stand in front of the IRS. He got audited. I've never seen a man so frightened to death in my life. I didn't understand anything. I was a young kid, but I saw the fright in my father's face. And I think we've all grown up with that super fear of the IRS. Oh my God. They raised our taxes. Oh, we have to pay our taxes. Oh, we get taxed on this, we get taxed on that. We turn left, we get taxed, we turn right. It's just been in our DNA for so long. that we have to pay these taxes. Now, obviously, it didn't start out that way in this country. The tariff system apparently worked beautifully. It may work beautifully here eventually. We have to always see what the Supreme Court says, don't we? You know, I'm really, I'm very angry right now. And I'm walking around every day sort of keeping it in check and keeping it in, but I can feel myself internalizing it. And I bet everybody listening right now is doing the same thing. Because that feeling of knowing that you are getting robbed certainly makes you want to stop paying. Now, I know Trump is saying he's not sending any federal funds to the sanctuary cities, states. If you look at Iran right now, people are getting hung and shot in the street for standing up to the mullahs. Well, we have our own set of mullahs, don't we? I mean, I'm just, where is this going to go? So, you know, I've been actually checking out a lot of people on Facebook and Truth and X, and I'm seeing more and more people that are grinding their heels in and saying, I'm not paying tax anymore. Now, it doesn't matter who you ask, they're going to tell you, oh no, you can't do that. You know, I know we can't do that, right? We know we can't do that. It's called the Boston Tea Party. Like, no, you can't do that. What else can't we do? Well, we can't let people live illegally in our country and take all of our money paying for their food, their hotels, the sad part of all of this, if you look at our government saying we're not going to send any more money to your states, what about the people that really need it? Our people. The people we want to give our money to, we want to help. Well, the baby's going to get thrown out with the bathwater once again, because it's the only way. It's just it's a sad situation, but you know, I was listening to a show the other night where the host was talking to, I don't even remember who he was talking to, but they were talking about crashing the system. If everybody didn't pay, what would happen?
Right. Right. I don't think people would know what to do if the system crashed. And we've kind of talked about this before, right? Where, you know, people have become so dependent on the system to provide them food and shelter. Like, they wouldn't know the first thing about planting a watermelon. Or
That's right.
You know what I mean, cultivating a orange tree or an apple tree or a peach tree, right? Or down to planting vegetables like collard greens and avocado and carrot and things of that nature, depending on the region that you're in, right? Like they would be stuck in the mud. Even raising chickens, right? Raise you a couple of head of cattle.
Yeah.
Right? For your table, for your freezer, right? We've gotten so far removed from that.
Totally. God bless the ranchers that are still hanging in there and doing it with the government pounding their heads down even worse than ours.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, and you're like actually talking about all these hysterical white people, white women specifically, the liberal white women, they're getting a bad rap this week. They're out there screaming and carrying on like mad dogs. I mean, I actually have never seen women be so violent, so physically violent. I've seen women scream, but I have never seen anything like what's going on our streets now. and obviously someone died because of it. But,
Right.
you know, these are federal agents. These are federal charges. They don't even understand what they're doing. They think, they think they can survive. They think they can beat up on people. They think they can attack federal agents, ICE agents. It's very strange. Like, who is leading this? George Soros? I don't know. I think we're about to find out a lot more in the next week than we know this week. The information is coming at us like the roller coaster at Palisades Park. It's like, whoa, hold it. I just got to figure this out for a minute. Can I have a minute, please? Nope, we're just getting wallowed on by every which way we turn. Now today, and this is something you probably know a lot about, Rod, but today I heard someone talking about the sheriffs and how they're really the ones that have the power to help DHS and the ICE in these sanctuary cities. Well, the sheriffs are now being sued.
Yeah, they do, right? But we have to also understand, right, in the particular areas they're in, it depends on how the county has created, you know, partnerships with local law enforcement or local police in that regard, right? And you know, the fact that sheriffs are getting sued, like, you know, the thing is do the sheriff cannot operate, right? And I want people to understand this, right? Even though the sheriff is the chief law enforcement authority, right? He is still under the direction of your county commission, right? Your sheriff can't just run willy-nilly, you know, on certain things, right? Especially how the county commission want to run certain things, right, et cetera, right? But the county commission cannot tell the sheriff how to enforce law because he is constitutionally mandated, right? Not only by the Constitution but by the people to uphold the law, right? County commission doesn't do that. So here's where the confusion comes in, right? Because the sheriff, yes, has to give authority to the federal government, especially in this case, ICE, right? And those orders, that's actually it's not an order, but it's an MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, called 287G, right? And that is basically the agreement that the sheriff will allow ICE in their political jurisdiction to, conduct immigration operations, right? But that still has to go through the county commission, right? Because the county commission still has a duty to make sure it protects the citizens also, and go and operate at their will too. So it's a delicate balance, but again, like here we are in this whole thing, right? And I'm going to use another example while we're here, right? Did you hear the other day how the sheriff of Philadelphia was saying ICE is illegitimate?
Yeah.
Yeah, the black lady. See, I want people to understand something, because I know that some people think, oh no, if Philadelphia is a city, Philadelphia is also a county. The city of Philadelphia sits in Philadelphia County, right? So yes, she is the sheriff, but she is not law enforcement. She is the court. She's basically the uphold, the enforcement in the courts, bailiffs, et cetera, right? She has no jurisdiction over the city of Philadelphia. And these people that sat up here is like, yeah, you go, girl. And I'm like, she has no jurisdiction. The city of Philadelphia PD is the authority. And the police commissioner of Philadelphia had to come out and was like, no, you don't have jurisdiction, ma'am. I don't know what you're talking about, but we're going to do what we have to do down here, right? We're going to do what we have to do down here. And to your other point, Miss Val, right? How their DA has been their DA for 8 years, and he's talking about ICE will not operate here and this, that, and the third. And I'm sitting here like, Larry Vassar, are you the audacity The audacity of you to sit there and say this, and you literally ran down to Southwest, those of you that are from Jersey or from New York, and especially a lot of you familiar with Philadelphia, you know, Southwest is the worst part of Philly. And this dude, as a DA, he didn't go to Northeast, he didn't go to Southeast, he didn't go to Northwest Philly. He went to Southwest Philly in the hood and won 85% of the vote in all of those wards in Southwest. And yet, this guy allows the illegals that are coming in Philly are not going to Northwest. They're not going to Northeast. They're not going to Southeast. They're going straight to Southwest.
Wow.
But Ms. Val, this is the trend. The derangement trend of these people. Like, we're here to help this demographic of people. You know what demographic I'm talking about. But yet at the same time, when the federal government comes in to do their job to clean up those communities because of the illegal immigration, no, you can't come here. What?
You know, you just said a key word, derangement.
Yes.
Derangement. It's all Trump derangement syndrome, and it really is an illness and a sickness that's taken over to an extent that you just said that they don't understand the law. They don't even know who they are and what they're allowed to do, what they can't do. They're just operating on pure Trump derangement syndrome attitude, and they just do what they're told. This is what happened in World War II to some extent. And the children, they're letting the children not go to school and protest in the streets, and they're all out there, and it's like, wait a minute, you've got the children so indoctrinated into this insanity. You're teaching them how to be revolutionaries at 6 years old. This is what's happened to our country.
I got to bring it up, Ms. Val. I got to bring it up because you brought up the children in this, right?
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's what's really effed up. Let's go back to 2020 a second, right? The so-called Million Man March, right? In DC. Y'all remember that, right?
Yep.
Not a single child in that crowd.
Of course.
Not a single child, right? But you look at these No Kings, anti-ICE, right? The people that's supposed to care about children, but you won. Watch this, Ms. Val. I'm gonna flip it on two sides here, right? You bring the children to the protest, right? Knowing darn well it may get rowdy and they're gonna spray pepper spray. You're gonna bring your child to something like that. Oh yeah, it's your right to be there. Yeah, but that child's right. You should be jailed for child endangerment.
Yep.
Abuse. Because you are, or abuse, because you're putting them in harm's way. Now you got the other side, like this woman in Minneapolis the other day. I don't speak her name anymore because she's not worthy of my breath, but I know who I'm talking about. Left her children to go do this.
Yep. We can't even try to figure it out anymore.
I don't want.
It's not normal. It's not normal thinking.
It's not normal thinking.
No. What a time. You know, there are so many key elements of this taxation and what has come down on us as a people.
Right.
As people in the United States. It's heavy. It's a heavy blanket on our heads right now. And you know, Bannon was down in Texas this week, and he's committed to doing his War Room Texas from here till March 3rd to the next election, because he sees that the Sharia Muslims have invaded Texas in a way that's different than everywhere else. Because they know deep in the heart of Texas is the American spirit. And it's intense. We've all watched the Wild West movies as kids. We've seen, rough and tough Texans with their hats and their boots on and their guns and pow pow. Well, that's where they went. And they have more mosques that they've built in Texas. They're building their epic city, which they've renamed the Meadows, so that they got away with whatever they had to get away with in order to continue doing it. They are, in Texas, the biggest threat to this country, because if they get away with what they're doing right now, we're going to lose our country. So Steve Bannon, the warrior, is down there now 3 shows a week, having all the people from Texas on, firing up the people running for government, the forces that be, so that we can get these people out of our country. So it's Minnesota, California is its own breed of thievery. I look at Newsom and I see like just this elitist snob that's extremely comfortable stealing money from the people, and it's a joke to him, and it's a joke to his family, and it's a joke to all these politicians out there. And I just pray that Steve Hilton can win, or somebody that's clear-headed and has some common sense, and we can get these bastards out of the government. That's a separate issue right now. The mullahs in Iran are doing the same thing right now they did in '79. As soon as the people stand up, they start shooting. And I think they hung a 26-year-old today in the square. It's a very, very sad situation. People that have been mowed down by their terrorists, by their Islamic terrorists. It's a new crusade. It's a new crusade everywhere. It's a new crusade in Africa, in Iran, in Israel, in Europe. It seems to me Europe is had. It seems to me, and I could be just seeing what I'm seeing, which is media. We all know media propaganda may or may not be true. It seems to me we are the last fight here, and each state, unfortunately, has their own ability to function in this moment. I really believe, I do believe that Trump is going to have to use the Insurrection Act eventually. It just has to get a little bit worse. And it will. How could it not?
I honestly, I think we are at this point. We are at rock bottom, right? But here's where I'm kind of making that delineation, right? Because when it comes to these moral affairs of man, okay, mm-hmm. Some people are stuck in their feelings about life, right?
Yeah.
Especially the ones that have been kicked down in life. They still decide to stay in their feelings. It wasn't feelings that got them out of that rock in a hard place. It was ingenuity, hard work, and grit that got you out of that, not your feelings. So how dare you be a person that has gone through hard times to still sit in your feelings about something when it was your grit that kept you alive? On the other side of that, these affluent, suburbanite, whatever you want to call these people, has not had a hair touched on their privileged head.
Disgusting.
They've never had their ass whooped a day in their life, so they can walk around and be jolly about their feelings until that first punch comes across your face and you figure out life just ran into you like an Amtrak train at 100 miles an hour. Now you're like, oh my God, I'm calling the cops. No, you should have had this ass whooping you was 7. Because you can float around out here like Peter Pan on your twinkle toes or Cinderella with the broken slipper. But one thing is for sure, when life slips into your life and checks you, you better be humble enough to recognize the check you just got. Because the next check you write, your ass may not be able to cash it.
The hammer is going to hit them in the head. Big time.
This is where we at, Miss Val. This is the rock bottom that I see. And those people that are going to stay in their feelings about life and reality, they're going to go on and piss in the fucking wind. While the rest of us that have endured, the rest of us that have gotten through life on many different levels, we'll see.
Yeah.
And we will prosper.
You know, it's almost like the spirit got diluted in the DNA. It feels like everything got diluted down. Like what was passed down to us got diluted down the road.
Yep.
You know, you know, we're watching this, like our economy is starting to bustle. And it's such a yin and yang experience we're having, because the economy is starting to like do amazing things. Gold and silver's rising. Trump is bringing back all these incredible businesses. He did a speech today, sort of a rally in Detroit, Michigan, with the car industry and everybody coming back, and the stock market, and, you know, based on what he's doing. And it's like, whoa, this is all, it's like the cabaret, you know, come to the cabaret while the people are being taken out in the trains to Auschwitz, and the people are sitting in the club and dancing and singing and drinking their drinks, and at the same time, the people are being burned in the ovens, you know, 3 blocks away. And it's like, that is what we are living in right now. Except we're not in the cabaret and we're not in the burning camps.
Right, right.
We're just like sitting here in purgatory, like waiting to see which way the ball is going to drop in any given moment, because something, like you said the other night, rupture. It feels like there's going to be a rupture. There has to be. How can this maintain itself?
Well, here's the thing, right? Now, with the economy piece, you're right? And I'm not an econ guy, but I read a few numbers from BLS and these different places to understand where we are, right? I understand these numbers, right? Because I don't listen to economists or people that think they're economists, because it's like, you're just going to confuse me with bullshit. I want to look at the raw numbers, right? I want to look at the raw numbers, and I want to compare the raw numbers to where we were 10 years ago and even 20 years ago, and see if we've gotten better or not gotten better, right? That's just me, because if I don't know something, I want to see the long data. I don't want you to explain to me like, well, you know, this trip did this and we going off a fiscal cliff, so that number is not a real number. I don't want to hear that shit.
Right. Numbers, the numbers.
Right?
Yeah.
Give me numbers, right? So our GDP growth is projected between 2 and 2.5% for January. Unemployment is settling at 4.4%. Inflation is cooling down to, it has cooled down to 2.7, right? And the interest rate at the Fed, 3.5 to 3.75%. I think that's doing pretty damn good, considering, right? Now,
wait till Jerome leaves his spot.
Right. So
It'll be better, yeah.
So, you know what I mean? So these, and again, right, I'm not the econ guy, right? I just look at the numbers and I go, right? Because I have my lane I stay in, right? And that's the lane I stay in. I don't want to be out here, obviously, you know me personally, right? Like, I don't want to be that know-it-all, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know everything about every aspect of the government. And no, I don't. But I do pay attention. I do pay attention to what I read, right?
Yeah. And I do too, but I think we all pay attention to what we're most interested in, which makes sense, because that's how we are more efficient at operating in this moment. I pay a lot of attention to the finances and to the financial news because I was trained that way in business with my dad and with my late husband. We built businesses together, and it's just in me to focus on that. And I have a lot of faith that depending on what happens with all this craziness erupting around us, I have faith that we can get our economy really back on the right foot again. All these industries moving into the United States again, and people coming on board, and the interest rates will continue to drop. The tariffs, well, let's hope the Supreme Court, I'm sorry, there are so many idiots sitting on the Supreme Court right now. I can't even believe what I had to listen to today. The inability of the Supreme Court, which they shouldn't even be looking at this in the first place, figuring out what is a man and what is a woman for sports. I'm sorry, we could never have foreseen a conversation like this in our Supreme Court 10 years ago, ever. Yeah. Anyway, I feel sorry for them, and I also feel that it's just sort of like a shit show at this point. Everything has to go to the Supreme Court because we can't stop fighting with each other anymore about every little detail. So maybe one day we will figure out how to stop abusing children in the school system, with body mutilization, with sports becoming, they don't know if they're men or women, neither do their parents know if they're men or women. All of Hollywood's children have changed. Gee, what went wrong out in Hollywood that every single Hollywood star that had a child ended up a transvestite? How does that happen? It sounds much more cultural than it is physical or biological. Just saying, my opinion. Just taking notice.
We got to go to break real quick. We got to do the thing.
Okay.
So okay. I want everybody to go ahead, sit back, relax, all that, and do all that good stuff. Stretch your legs. Me and Miss Val, the experience today. We'll be back in 7.
I'm Charles Payne, and this is the Fox Business Report.
Stocks finishing lower as investors digested a milder inflation reading for December, while JP Morgan kicked off fourth quarter earnings season with a rocky quarter. Geopolitical tensions also weighed on markets. The Dow lower by 398 points, Nasdaq down 24, S&P 500 down 14. Consumer prices rose 0.3% in December from the previous month, the same as November. Excluding the volatile food and energy categories, core prices rose 0.2%, also matching November's figure. Shares of JP Morgan Chase fell 4%. The country's biggest bank said that its profit fell 7% in the fourth quarter, even as revenue rose on the back of higher fees and interest income. But its results were weighed down in part by a charge from its deal to take over the Apple credit card program. That's your Fox Business Report. I'm Hillary Barsky, invested in you.
An investigation. I'm Lisa Lacera, Fox News. The Justice Department says it sees no basis for a civil rights probe into the fatal shooting of a Minneapolis woman by an ICE officer last week. Assistant Attorney General Todd Blanche said he did not elaborate on how the Justice Department came to that conclusion as protests in Minneapolis intensified.
DHS not backing down, though, with hundreds of additional agents now on the ground helping secure operations and arrest protesters who cross the line.
Fox's Garrett Tenney in Minneapolis. Yesterday, the state filed a lawsuit over the surge of ICE agents into Minneapolis. Activists in Iran say the number of dead during the protests in Iran is in the thousands and continues to grow as the exiled Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi tells Fox's Brett Barry spoken with some people in his home country.
I was able the night before last to have a FaceTime moment with a few of the people who came right off the street to tell us how the situation was on the ground. I mean, awe and admiration in the courage that they have displayed.
President Trump is reviewing the figures on the number of dead and is weighing his options on how to proceed. Supreme Court considers bans on transgender athletes participating in women's sports.
The first of their kind cases challenge a pair of transgender sports bans in Idaho and West Virginia.
But Title IX and the Equal Protection Clause protect everyone.
Attorney Joshua Block represents a West Virginia middle school transgender student identified by the initials BPJ.
West Virginia's law treats BPJ differently from other girls on the basis of sex.
West Virginia's Solicitor General Michael Williams says the state is ensuring fairness for all student athletes.
Title IX permits sex-separated teams. It does so because biological sex matters in athletics in ways both obvious and undeniable.
Opinions in the two cases are expected by the summer.
Fox's Jared Halpern in Washington. America's listening to Fox News. Several Democratic attorneys general are suing the federal government for its threats to hold back funding to states that support services for transgender people.
The states involved say the Department of Health and Human Services is putting conditions on billions of dollars in funding. The plaintiffs allege new HHS policy requires certified compliance with a presidential executive order they say defines gender in ways that marginalize transgender people. New York Attorney General Letitia James accuses the federal government of forcing states to choose between their values and vital federal dollars. Rhode Island AG Peter Nerona said he believes the HHS policy aims to bully states into compliance. The plaintiffs want it declared unlawful. HHS has not publicly commented on the lawsuit. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Emmy Award-winning actor Timothy Busfield has turned himself into authorities in New Mexico to face child sex abuse charges stemming from allegations he inappropriately touched a minor on the set of a TV series he was directing. New developments in the case of a missing Oklahoma boy.
They were arrested on suspicion of child abuse days after their 12-year-old was reported missing. Now, Oklahoma officials say the stepfather of R.J. Davis, who was found safe Sunday, 9 days after he went missing, tried to hang himself in his jail cell Monday after a court appearance. George Franklin Cole Jr. and his wife face multiple charges, including child abuse, child neglect, and child sexual abuse. His wife, Kimberly Cole, has also been charged with crimes against nature and one count of conspiracy. The boy's been placed in the custody of the Oklahoma Department of Human Services. Lillian Wu, Fox News.
After 19 years, the Mike Tomlin era with the Pittsburgh Steelers is over. The longest tenured head coach in a major American professional sport stepped down after the Steelers were eliminated from the playoffs. I'm Lisa Lacera. This is Fox News.
Welcome back. Glad y'all got to stretch your legs out and all that good stuff. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us this evening. Make sure you do the like, subscribe, and all the things on the Rumble, the YouTube, the X, all the things, the Twitch. And the X, and you know, all the things. If you're not there, be square. Truth Social, we're there. Touch of liberty. Touch. God, I can't talk, Miss Val. I can't talk. I can't get it out. Torch of Liberty.
You gotta change the name now to Touch of Liberty.
I know, it's a Touch of Liberty. I don't think I want to touch some of these people with liberty, though. I want them to just fester in their statism. But anyway, I'm supposed to be the happy one here today. I'm the happy one. I want to touch them with liberty, but what's going to end up happening, Miss Val, is they're going to call the police on me.
Uh-oh. Don't say that.
They're going to call the police on me when I touch them, right? Because obviously I got to have consent, right? Right. And I remembered something before we went to break again, before I go to my story here real quick. Make sure you like and subscribe and all that good stuff on the Rumble and the YouTube and the Twitch and the X and the Kick, all that. Torture Living Media Foundation, or TOLMFDN or F. Make sure you subscribe to the Patreon, TOLMF. You see it. Everything you need to know on the screen in front of you in the upper right-hand corner. Those are all the handles. Make sure you do the things. But anyway, Miss Val, back to my story. Isn't it kind of funny how an individual saves a woman's life, and then because she was looking down at her phone, almost got hit by a car, and now she's suing him for not because she didn't give consent to touch her?
Well, did the woman sitting in the train give consent to the guy that stabbed her in the neck?
Right.
That everyone's forgotten about?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, no, we can't even sit here and try to make sense out of any of the behavior we are unfortunately seeing from very sick people. They're not normal. They're not operating the way we operate, and we just have to play this out as best we can. You know, support the forces that feel good to you. No, I wanted to bring something up to you.
Yeah.
Specifically. We were talking last time about the Quran and Thomas Jefferson taking his oath on the Quran, because we were upset that, you know, Mohammed up there in New York did it. Glenn Beck did a speech at this Texas presentation this weekend. And, you know, look, some people may think he's crazy, but he is an unbelievable historian and biblical historian. And of course, everyone was talking about Islam and saving the state of Texas specifically. And he started out talking about the hatred of the Jewish people, and that it all began with Abraham. Abraham saying, okay, these are the 12 good people, and Satan, you have nothing. And Satan looked at the 12 people and said, oh, this is easy. I can just kill those 12 people. And that's how it all started. Anyway, when he got to the Quran, and it took about half an hour for him to get to it, and Jefferson, he said, what nobody knows, he said, I have the original Quran in my hand right here, that Thomas Jefferson took his oath upon. And he said, what people don't understand is that Thomas Jefferson on page 1 wrote the dangers of the Islamic regime and this book. Please keep this book, because I'm going to take my oath on the belief that this will never be allowed in the United States of America. I wanted everybody to hear that and take note of it. And you look it up, you could research it, but this is what I heard the other night, and I said, there it is. It was never meant to be here. It was never meant to be part of our government, our Constitution. It's all theirs. They can take their Sharia and shove it where the sun don't shine. So please look it up. Do it for me. I just heard what I heard, and it made perfect sense to me, because I cannot believe that anybody could read that book and come out the other end of it and take an oath on it for this country, unless they hate our country and want to totally turn it into something else, like another shithole.
Okay, so let's add some context to that history, because obviously he didn't stand on that stage and go through the whole thing with the Jefferson thing, right? And again, I'm going off the top of my head here in a second, right?
Yeah.
Jefferson right? He bought his copy of the Quran when he was a 22-year-old law student back in 1765.
Okay.
Right? So he used the Quran as a legal study because Jefferson, he was like, a lot of people don't know, Jefferson is probably one of the most brilliant legal minds this country will ever probably see. Because this man could quote canonical law, which is God's law. He could quote it literally without even reading the Bible, right? He could quote the Talmud, the laws in the Talmud. He could quote Noahide law, right? I mean, again, right? In Islam, right? This book, this Quran, is basically a legal handbook. If you lay it out, right? Because the Quran is the basis of Islamic law, right? Yes. AKA, you could call it Sharia, whatever you want to call it, right? You can't call it Sharia law because Sharia means law, right? Yes. So, right? So I would think in his mind, it was a necessary reference to be a, I don't know, universal type lawyer, right? Now, Jefferson was also what's called now a polyglot, which means he understood and spoke many different languages himself, right? To the point that he taught himself languages like Arabic, right?
Amazing.
Right? So he was able to translate the Quran and I guess, bring light to what the Quran was, right? Because the only people that could interpret the Quran in the United States at that time were the Moors down in the South. Because remember, we had the Moors here under the crest of King Sultan II at that point in time, right? So they were the only ones that could, you know what I mean? They were the ones that could translate it right now. I wish there were recordings, like there were sayings, and this is a sidebar, there were sayings that Jefferson actually communicated with the Moors down in the South, but there's no official record of that. And if there is, I'd love to read it and see what that would have been, because that would have been amazing, right? To see what these people thought and how they communicated it. But anyway, right? But we also have to understand what Jefferson, right? Because Jefferson was a very staunch advocate for the Virginia Statute for Religious Freedom, right? And in his writings, when they were writing the Virginia Declaration of Rights, he explicitly mentioned the Jew and the Gentile, the Christian and the what did he call the Muslims? What did he call them? It was Jew and the Gentile, the Christian, the Mahometan. That's what he called the Muslim, the Mahometan, right? Okay. And he said that all of their rights should be protected, right? But he did something else too, right? He also used the Quran, right, as a theoretical test case for his belief that American citizenship should not be limited by faith. And he was right.
I could see that.
Mm-hmm. So that's just a little extra insight. Y'all, no one probably ever heard about Jefferson and the Quran and Islam and all that. And it was quite interesting. I mean, because, remember, right, when Jefferson was in law school, right, we're talking about the very early beginnings of the American Revolution, because, y'all know me, I say the revolution started in 1763 with the revolt of the Stamp Act, right? Mm-hmm. And we come forward, we have Jefferson talking about this, right? And maybe saying, okay, we can make this a Christian nation. And he used that theoretical test of the Quran, see if it could hold true. And he was right, it won't hold true. Because if you're going to stand on, right, religious freedom, you cannot turn around on the other foot and say we're a Christian nation. It is antithetical to the actual cause.
You also can't turn around and say you have to do it my way or I kill you.
Right. That's exactly right.
It goes both ways.
Mm-hmm. But see, but this is when the people solve that problem, not the government, right?
Yes.
The people solve that problem.
I don't think, no matter how smart he was, he could not have foreseen, to the extent that we are so overtaken by this culture in this moment.
Mm-hmm.
He couldn't have, ever imagined that we'd be in the state we're in right now. But Glenn Beck seemed to have, actually produced some evidence in that Quran that said, this will not jive with us. And even the minutia of what the Quran states is basically, peace means you submit. Peace means submit. It doesn't mean we all get along. So we have different translations and interpretations of even what peace is.
But you know what, Miss Val? I want to stay in the religious fight a second, right?
Okay.
Because I want to turn on a couple of light bulbs here for people. We know how Islam is making its creep in this country, right? It's making its creep. It's making its mark, right? I mean, we see it.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
The Christians in this nation have been told, if you stand up for yourself, we will jail you.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The government has done everything but say it out loud. Even society at large impugns Christians. But this is where the left gets it wrong. This is where the left is getting this completely wrong, leaning against Christianity. Okay? Majority of those people coming across the southern border, over 80% of them are Catholic. I want people to think about that a second. Those are Catholics or Roman Catholics coming across that border. If you want to look at the Mexicans and the Hondurans and the Belizeans and the Panamanians, they are Catholic. They are Catholic. So what the left is actually doing, y'all stay with me. What the left is actually doing by standing up for this illegal immigration is bringing in a bigger Christian army. Because you know damn well, these people, they're not going to bow down to no regime telling them you got to wear things over. No, fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
So bring it back to the illegal immigration aspect, right? And I want people just to stay completely open-minded and take your bias out a second. This illegal immigration thing is going to backfire on the exact people that are trying to protect it. Because, again, these people that are rah-rah for this illegal immigration are not Christians.
No.
Right? They are not Christians. So it's going... Look, those of you that are Christians, please understand what I'm saying. Right? God will always control Satan.
Yeah.
He will always control the devil. The devil will always be controlled opposition because God created Satan. Now just think about the demons and all the shit that's happening with these people standing up for these bad and illegal things that harm people, how they're importing God's army. They can say, oh, we're importing all these terrorists, but they're also, right, importing God's army. Because when majority of the third world is Christian, Islam will not stand a chance on American soil. I just want y'all to think about that.
That's fascinating because I heard this person talking about the aborted fetuses that were God's angels that he was trying to send back to us to help us. You know, I think that the liberal left in this country, they may have all been born Christians. They may be Jews. They may be anything, and they don't even know that they are anything. They're just lost souls. They're satanic, lost, empty souls. They don't have a religion. The people that are fighting in the streets now that we see on the media, there's no connection to a God. They don't know that they're being demonically controlled. They don't know. Look at them. Just, it's very interesting what you said, and I'm certainly open to thinking that. So do you think in what you just stated that we sort of have a new crusade coming into this country? Do you think that Nancy Pelosi and Joe Biden and Blinken and all the idiots we've been looking at for the past 6, 7, 8 years actually were doing something positive, or do you think they had no idea this was going to turn on them?
I don't think that they knew what they were doing, right? And again, this is where my controlled opposition piece comes into play, right? Satan, right, is controlled opposition, because God is not going to let him go no further than what he wants him to.
Right.
Even though Satan has dominion over earth, God is going to always intervene if you decide to try to really harm or dismay his children. He is going to do that by default. He is the de facto one, right?
I believe that.
Right?
I believe that.
So,
yeah.
You know, to your point, right? Like Joe Biden, he's a devout Roman Catholic, right?
Yeah.
Devout Roman Catholic, but he supports abortion. That's against doctrine. By default. See what I'm saying? So these people, they think they're doing something, but at the same time, they're almost coddling up with Islam. And here's the funny dynamic, Ms. Val. They're coddling up.
I don't think Islam has abortions.
Right. They coddle up to Islam, but they turn around and bomb them. Right? Listen, what I'm here. See what I'm saying? This is. I hate when my wheels get turning, because these things start coming together. So if the government is de facto siding with Islam because they've told Christians to shut the F up.
Yep.
Right. Meanwhile, we need illegal immigrants because they're saying, the white people are afraid of browning in the country, but you're importing brown Christians. Right? By skin color, right? Now we know by definition, government definition, they're white. But here's the thing. There's all these satanic narratives, evil narratives in play, got people confused and not looking, right, at the bigger picture. And again, those of you that don't believe in God, please don't disregard. Just follow the story as we're telling it, right? They are importing the army for the next crusade against Islam, because the crusade is going to happen here. It's not going to happen over in the Middle East because there's no Christian strongholds in the Middle East. Islam has conquered damn near every country in Africa and through the Middle East. This is the stand. And what these administrations, the Democratic administrations, have saying as they shout anti-Christian rhetoric and pro-Islam rhetoric, we got to let illegals in to tip the system, but you're allowing in Christians that are not going to stand for it. This is crazy work. God works in mysterious ways, and if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. And just right now, it clicked. It's like,
Yeah.
the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
So I'm not saying I'm pro illegal immigration, Ms. Val. By no means.
Yeah.
I'm not pro, but just looking at the circumstances, like, dang, they're bringing them all through the southern border. Even Chinese Christians are coming through the southern border. Like, what are we doing?
So the media, on some level, has been playing us to believe that all the Chinese people that were coming here were male military, and all the brown people were prisoners and rapists and drug addicts, and there would be no way for us to know what you just said.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an amazing thought. It's a trip, you know. It's like Strawberry Fields, since we were talking about the Beatles tonight. It's like, wow. So God gave us COVID to expose all this fraud and stole the election. And I really, really believe that once the truth about the 2020 election comes out, and it will, everything falls away. Everything we have seen for the past, I don't know, 20, 30 years, maybe even longer. Oh, Hill and Bill are supposed to appear in court. I hear they're not showing up. Are they going to be in contempt of court like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro? I hope they put them in the same cell together. Good stuff. Juicy stuff is happening. It's really, you know, when you look at it as this is actually God taking control of all the evil we've been eating our hearts out about for the past 10 years or 12 years or 15 years. It's like, okay, I'm taking hold of all of this now, and we're going to start turning this ship around. And Trump is just doing what Trump loves. He's doing business. That's what he loves to do. That's what he's doing. And each of us has our own important path in this fight. It could be one person. It could be information. It could be the big fights that you have. It could be anything. A conversation with one person could change that one person, could change 10 people. I don't know how many people you just opened up with this amazing thought process that possibly we're living in the new Crusades, or a second one, or a third one, or a fifth one. Islam really needs, it's time for them to get their asses kicked once and for all.
We'll get there. We'll get to that point, right? And we got to roll out. But I want to say this, right? As we keep hearing the bullshit in the media, the cesspool of the media, and the garbage they throw in that cesspool and makes it pile up till you're almost up neck deep and you just have to smell it for a minute, right? I want you to understand these tactics, the same exact tactics was used by the Jacobins in the French Revolution. Mm-hmm. Same tactic. Mm-hmm. I encourage everyone that's listening or listen to this later, look up the Jacobins and read about the Reign of Terror and how they operated, right? It's the same thing. And we're going back French Revolution, right? We're talking, 17 and change.
Yeah.
Right? It's the same tactics.
It's amazing. When are we going to learn?
We won't.
We won't. Yeah.
It'll
be God and Satan just duking it out forever.
Yeah. With that, Miss Val, thank you as always. I appreciate
welcome. Good night, everyone.
everybody doing the things as always. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. Remember, if you're not subscribe, all that stuff to the Rumble and all the other stuff, the YouTube. Make sure you find all the shows, Southern Liberty, The Fifth Estate, Chasing Life, Liberty, and Monarchy, and this show, The Experience Today, on the audio platforms, wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. Make sure you click the subscribe, all that. It helps us out with the numbers because we're going to generate new numbers for 2026. So if you're not on there, please, please, please hit the subscribe. You don't have to listen to them there because you're more likely to listen to them here, but it just helps the algorithm and boosts us up. And if you happen to be an Apple user, please, when you subscribe, leave a 5-star review, all that good stuff. Again, it helps the numbers, helps push it out the show out more, et cetera, because 2026 is going to be that year. It's going to be that year where you really creep towards that national stage and really start, you know what I mean, getting those looks. But anyway, with that, I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And remember, love your neighbors, love your family, but ultimately, love yourself. Until next time, y'all. Peace and love.